the streets. I do it so my daughter can eat. Mom's working 3 on her own, breaking 4 in the week. Now tell me how I'm gonna budget that.
Don't confuse yourself. That's Philadelphia music. Don't confuse yourself. I am T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. It is December the 5th, 2014, 7:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on December the 6th, 2014, Hammer and Hank Lundy, 25-3-1 with 12 KOs, is going to be taking on Thomas Dulorme, 21-1 with 14 KOs. I already said I'm T Street Controversy. 140 pounds for Lundy, 139 pounds for Dulorme. And I guess you're probably thinking, oh, this guy's from Philadelphia, so he's probably going to pick Lundy to win. Well, goddamn it, yes, I am. Dulorme fought 4 times in 2013 against opponents you don't know of, but that's because he got knocked out by Carlos Bregel in 2012. So if you don't know, just a couple of weeks ago, actually about 3 weeks ago, I was at Bernard Hopkins versus Sergey Kovalev, and on the undercard was Saddam Ali versus Abrego. Abrego got knocked out, and you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, what does that make Dulorme? Well, whatever the case may be, he's a Robert Garcia trained fighter, and I'm not necessarily sold on him yet. For one, I was thinking to myself, like earlier at that point in time in 2012, HBO was really hyping him up, if you remember. But now looking at it, don't get me wrong, he's good and he's got fast hands, but we still don't know how he succumbs to pressure. You know, so Kareem Mayfield was supposed to provide that, but Mayfield's too stiff of a fighter. So I'm thinking, okay, you got Hank Lundy, 25-3-1. Now let's look at his fights. If you look at his last 2 defeats, Victor Postol over in Russia. Victor Postol was the #1 contender for Danny Garcia's WBC 140-pound title. He was paid to step aside so Danny Garcia can fight somebody else, but he is good. If you look at Lundy's fight before that, it was his last loss. So his last 2 defeats came against Postol, #1 contender, and Ray Beltran, who was a #1 contender that just fought, that after that went on to basically break Ricky Burns' jaw. And, you know, fought on the undercard of Pacquiao versus Bradley Toole. And then he fought Terrence Crawford. You know, so to look at the level of competition that he's lost to, and John Molina. And, you know, John Molina had that fight with Lucas Matisse earlier this year that may be fight of the year. So looking at that, you ask yourself, okay, well, why hasn't this guy got a break yet? And is this his chance? Now, on the main event, you got David Lemieux versus Gabriel Rosado. Gabriel Rosado, another Philly fighter. And I'm kind of picking him the edge through. Put it this way, it's one of those fights that I'm lucky I'm not a gambling man, because I look at it like this. From rounds 1 to 5, David Lemieux is very dangerous. But if it goes past that, I'm giving it to Rosado. To whereas in Lundy's got to come in immediately, and he's got to take the heart from Dulorme. And if he can, show him that your fast hands don't mean nothing. Now, can he do it? We don't know. I had an interview with him, and he was talking about how Ruslan Provodnikov ducked him, and he was going to go to Russia. You know, but Provodnikov, he talking about Herrera, and a couple other people. I forgot who it was. Turned down fights with him, but yet he fought Castillo and basically massacred him. You know, but I know what it was about. You know, a Russian guy, they wanted to beat up on a Mexican in Russia. You know, I understand. You know, I understand. So, looking at where Lundy goes from here, if he takes a loss to Dulorme, it would be a very impressive win on Dulorme's resume. Because remember, only impressive win basically he has as far as significant is Kareem Mayfield. So if he gets Kareem Mayfield and then get a Lundy after that, he's going to be putting himself in maybe a position to fight Victor Postol for that WBC #1 contender spot. And we know that Danny Garcia is basically on borrowed time in the 140-pound division. So also other fighters you have to look at in the 140-pound division now is guys like Terrence Crawford, who fights on HBO as well. Now, Lundy is not, put it this way, Crawford is a star right now. Lundy's not there right now, even though Lundy's been around much longer. Lundy's got to get past Dulorme in order to get closer to Terrence Crawford level. So do I see a Terrence Crawford versus a Hank Lundy? No. Do I see Terrence Crawford versus a Dulorme? If Dulorme beats Lundy, then yes. You know, then you got Jesse Vargas in the mix. Then you got Pacquiao, and if he moves down to 140, then he'll be the king of the 140-pound division, basically, because Mayweather's the king of 147 and 154. So the way I see it is, of course I can start talking about names, like Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse and Adrian Broner, but really what's the point, honestly? We're talking about an HBO fight, okay? An HBO fight. So it's no point in even throwing those names out there. Once again, 140 pounds for Hank Lundy, 25-3-1 with 12 KOs. And 139 for Dulorme, Robert Garcia trained fighter, 139-21-1 with 14 KOs. I'm going to be covering this fight live, and then about 2 hours after Rosado versus Lemieux is over, about an hour actually to 90 minutes after that, I'm going to be doing something called Google Hangout. And what Google Hangout is a live streaming video. So I'll be here live, real time, and you'll be able to join, and we could talk and chat about boxing. It's much more easier. I've been trying to tell people, if you subscribe to the channel, then my channel will be in your Google Plus page. So if you subscribe, it'll be in your Google Plus page, and you gotta have Google Plus if you have a YouTube account. So, it'll be so much easier that way. Simple as that. T Street Controversy Live.